This is the Bobing Genesin GN4000HSC spinning reel that was sent to me directly from the manufacturer, all the way from, you guessed it, China. Now this is a comp review. I'm not sponsored by these guys by any means, but they did want to send me this reel for review, and a lot of people wonder why I even bother spending my time reviewing reels like this. And the answer is, if there's a reel out on the market, why not give it a shot, especially if the manufacturer's gonna send it to me for free. This reel is rated for freshwater use only. Nowhere online or on the description does it say it's approved for saltwater, but saltwater is what I put it through. Saltwater is what I have to fish in. And I put about 10 hours on it, casting from shore and bottom jigging with it. And you know what? It held up. This reel didn't do too bad for a $25 reel, but there is one major flaw that could discourage you from buying it. But before we get to that, let's cover the specs. This reel is rated at 4,000. It's a 4,000 size reel, and it's a little undersized for 4,000. To give you an idea of scale, this is the Penn Fierce 2 3000, and as you can see, they're pretty similar in size, pretty small for a 4,000. The reel has an aluminum rotor that's pretty well balanced. As I turn it, it actually spins pretty darn smooth. This reel has 10+1 ball bearings, again, not saltwater rated, freshwater rated only. It has a 5.1 to gear ratio, or 5.1 turns of the rotor for every 1 turn of the handle. As I mentioned, the rotor is aluminum, it's fairly balanced well. It has a pretty substantial bail wire. I really like the thicker bail wires on reels these days. It never miscasts, although I wouldn't use this for surf casting. If you're launching heavy weights or heavy lures all day, this reel isn't going to really cut it. Although I never had a premature bail set, there just isn't that extra little click that a lot of the nicer spinning reels, even at this price point, you can feel that extra little bit of engagement, and I don't think it would take much to get a premature bail set. So if you're casting lures with this, I think, in my opinion, there's a good chance you could have a miscast. And the bail's an automatic trip if you're one of those weirdos that likes to set their bail by turning the handle. Reel's pretty smooth. Definitely no play in the bearings, no flat spots. Spins actually pretty well. Here it comes. Little guy. Yeah. Hey, a little short, but you know what?
It's another link.
Reel catches fish.
Right on.
Not bad. Now this line spool is pretty plain. There are no guide rings, and the spool isn't braid ready, so you're gonna have to put on your own braid backing. It's rated for about 180 meters of PE3 braid, or 30-pound braid, and I think that's pretty generous. Realistically, you're gonna get about 150 meters. And I spent about half a day bottom jigging with this reel, and this line's packed on pretty tight. It does have a nice line lay. It's a little top heavy. It does have a graphite reel body, and just like any reel with a graphite body, there's gonna be a little flex under the load. When you're fighting a fish, normally you don't want the rotor to flex, but if you have a lot of dead weight and you're just dragging fish up from the bottom, you can definitely feel it as it's being cranked up. But overall, not too bad. One of the gripes I have, though, is the size of the reel foot. The reel foot is really big, even for a 4,000 size reel. This is a 3,000 size Fierce 2, Penn Fierce 2 3000, and you can really see the difference in the sizing. So be aware if you're replacing a reel about the size of that Fierce 2 3000, this reel foot might be too big for your reel seat. This reel spins really smooth, even after 10 hours of use in the salt. There is, very little back play. I mean, just like that Penn Fierce 2, there's really no back play. Actually, it's pretty surprising at how tight the tolerances are here. And it does have an anti-reverse switch, even up to the 4,000 size, in case you want to go backwards and backplay your fish. And like most reels nowadays, the reel is interchangeable from left to right. This is a pass-through design, so there's an axle that runs through the main gear to this retention cap here. So if you wanted to flip it, simply unscrew that cap and run your handle through that side and tighten it from this side. The handle is pretty sturdy. It doesn't have the best fit and finish, kind of has this faux chrome finish. but it's super sturdy and it's pretty massive. You know, the outside collar here is really thick compared to a lot of reels in this price range. These no-name reels typically skimp in this area, and this is where they tend to fail, but this reel is almost overbuilt, and I love it. It's got a really nice you know, firm handle. It's actually pretty stout. This reel actually is pretty heavy for its size, even though it's really like a 3000 size reel. It weighs about 10.6 ounces, so it's on the heavier side. You're not going to be, you know, shaving any weight if you go cheap with this reel, but you know, the handle is actually pretty decent, and you know, this paddle knob right here isn't too bad. It's got a really tacky rubber grip. It's kind of like this asymmetrical design, and you know, I have to say, after reeling it for about 10 hours, it's pretty comfortable, not too bad. One of the things I really like about it, it's got a really cool collar. You simply push it in and push your handle down if storage is important to you, and if you want to back it out, simply snap it into place. It's got a really nice sounding, just really satisfying. Actually, let me do that again. Not too bad for 25 bucks. Now the Genesin has this nicely painted body and painted rotor. It's kind of this gunmetal color with silver flake, and the spool is anodized black and red. Now with the fake chrome bits and the black knob, it really does have the hallmarks of a Shimano Stradic Ci4 Plus. Not saying that it is one, but if you can't be one, why not look like one? Now I did find one major flaw of this reel, and it's its complete lack of drag. I mean, the drag is non-existent. You know, the drag button, as I mentioned, is really vague, and as I tighten it down and I try to spin it as smooth as I can, it's really impossible to get any kind of linear, predictable drag. Now, I wasn't fighting any fish that were really rip and drag out, thank God. But as you can tell, it's really sketchy. This is Daiwa's BG4000, pretty renowned drag system in this reel. Look, as I tighten it, I'm probably putting 10 pounds of drag pressure, you know, 12, and spins pretty darn smooth. I can't do that even in the really light drag settings of this reel. It's just super jerky. I mean, I didn't open up this reel. It's not probably the best drag setup in there. It could be improved maybe with you know, better oil, but I mean, would you put that up against any fish that's going to be, you know, over a pound? Probably not. Now, as part of this review, Bobing also sent me 300 meters of their 30-pound multicolored line. Very interestingly, they sent 300 meters in 3 100-meter spools. I already used up all the line, but this is how it comes. One of my subs told me that it's a pretty common way to distribute line in the Asian markets, especially Japan and China. They give you 3 individual spools of 100-meter lines, all connected. To me, that's a lot of wasted material. I mean, look at all this plastic that you have to use to get 300 meters of line. You know, here's Daiwa's Braid. This is 300 meters. It's all tucked away on this nice thin plastic spool. A lot less material to distribute line, if you ask me. Just something funky that I've never seen before. And here it is on my light tackle bottom jigging setup. It packs down super tight, as I mentioned before, and because it is 4-strand line, it is kind of rough. So as it comes through the guides, it's pretty loud, but because it's waxy, it packs down really tight and actually feels smooth at the touch. And it really has kind of a nice even line lay as it comes onto the reel. This is 30-pound line, and I caught some decent sized fish that day with this spool and that spinning setup, and never had a break and never had a line fray. Not too bad. Now, my only gripe with Bobing's multicolor braid is the frequency of color changes. This braid changes color every meter. So if you drop 10 meters, that's 10 color changes. Now compare that to Daiwa's Braid multicolor. Their braid changes color every 10 meters. So every time you drop 10 meters, that's 1 color change. Every 100 meters, that's 10 color changes. Now compare that to Bobing's. Every time you drop 100 meters of line, that's 100 color changes. Now I don't know about you, but I don't have a very good memory, and I prefer a line that can tell me how much depth change I've had at 10 meter intervals versus 1. And that was the Bobing Genesin GN4000HSC. About $20 to $25 on eBay and Amazon. Now let me know in the comments below, would you spend $25 on a reel like this? Would you stray away from the major manufacturers to give a small-time manufacturer an opportunity to test themselves? Manufacturers are using social media, especially YouTube and reviews like this, to really gauge public interest in their products. So I guarantee they're going to be reading your comments below. So let me know, let them know what you really think about this reel. And as always, thanks again for watching. This is the Bobing Genesin GN4000HSC and the Bobing multicolored PE3 30-pound test line. Links in the description below. Really appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and before I forget, this is the box that the reel comes in. Nothing too crazy. You pop it open and you get a parts blown out list. No neoprene pouch like a lot of manufacturers are giving you. You get the parts blowout list and some nice copy, including this last line. Perhaps what you only need is to only enjoy this product.